Gorgeous morning. It's the day before Thanksgiving, so it's kind of our last day of the week. We've got some super thick frost top everything, but it is a gorgeous morning. We're gonna start throwing these trusses up. There's like no breeze. Hopefully we'll get to that doorway like I want. I love truss day. Truss day is probably my most favorite. Bay number 3. Going for a 4-bay day, which means we're gonna get to that one right there. Gorgeous, sun shining. It's cold. Look at that doorway, 34 foot. Dang, overhead door. Just made it halfway. We're gonna try and get one more bay done today. This little guy is making it a little troublesome. What up? Lean that telly? Lean it? Get some cross chains on these walls, keep them from wanting to move side to side. Get 2 more trusses up, and then we're gonna have to come in from the end wall. So if there's one thing that I've definitely learned about hanging trusses in the post frame world, it's that typically it doesn't matter if it's a 24-foot truss or in this case an 84-foot wide truss. In my experience, depending on what equipment you have, in this case we have a telehandler, we could hang them all just about the same. The only difference being that we've had instances where we've had a truss that just doesn't hang well, and what I mean by that is as soon as you pick it up from up towards the peak, like we're doing in this video, the 2 ends want to just basically slap together, and that's definitely something that you don't want to happen. So we've had to use spreader bars like we did in the earlier part of the trussing on our end wall. We had a single ply truss. These are all 2-ply trusses, and what that means is the manufacturer basically made 2 single ply trusses and then laminated them together. If you look really closely, you can see the nail pattern on the left side of those trusses. And what I'm doing here is once we've hung the first truss of a bay, we got to brace it off with some temporary bracing so we can drop the telehandler and go get the next truss. And the reason that is because each bay consists of 16 foot or 2x4 16 or 2x4 18 foot purlins, and those span across two sets of trusses. So that's what we call a bay. And we go ahead and put up the first truss, brace it off, bring in the second truss like we are here, and then we can run our purlins. So basically every time you start, you always have to finish a full bay. That way you can lock it down properly. We get our top purlins on, we get our bottom cord, what we call wind ties on. Those basically tie each end together, and those run the whole length of the building every 8 foot, and that is based off of our post spacing on the end wall. And once the truss is up, we just leave that telehandler hooked up right where we got it. That way it, not going anywhere. And once we're done installing all of these purlins, we can drop it and go on to the next bay. Something to note, I know I've talked about it, but in case there's questions, we always stand our purlins on edge like this because of our bay spacing, 8 foot. If we were somewhere in the 4 foot space or less, we could lay them on edge, we could lay them flat. But since we're, in our area, these trusses are engineered for the proper snow loads. These are 35 pounds total load trusses. We can go ahead and do an 8 foot bay spacing like this and run our purlins on edge. It actually is a very, very strong roof. Basically every connection is done with a hand-driven 60-penny ring shank hardened nail. That's I do believe they're about 5.5 or 6 inches long. So what we do is we lay out all of our purlins on a set of sawhorses. We mark them all, and then we pre-drill them. That way we don't split the wood, and it also makes it easier to drive those 60 pennies in, up in the air. So anything you can do to kind of streamline the process, make it easier, all for that.